Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone. I am joined here today with Striker. So, how you doing, mate?
Hello. I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing really, really well. What time is it for you again?
It is 8 in the evening.
Oh, yeah, so 1 p.m. for me. So we're quite a distance away. So I apologize if there's any delay, guys, but we'll do our best. So, yeah, Striker, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I am a professional artist and programmer. I primarily identify with being an artist because that's the thing I've been pursuing my whole life. I always wanted to do 3D modeling for video games since I was like 12 years old, and I've been chasing it ever since. Um, I about a little over 3 years ago, I finally actually started my first job as a professional 3D artist. But unfortunately, it wasn't in video games. It's such a hard industry to break into. But instead, I got into AR stuff, like making stuff for like Snapchat filters and such.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting because that's similar to me. I actually broke into the augmented reality space first as well. It's interesting that
Yeah.
that was our, yeah, we're similar in that way. Um, like mine was more like AR, like mobile experiences. Like you go to a particular place in the world and then you see a pre-made dedicated experience to that location. So it's
Oh
very
yeah, yeah.
location based. But it's interesting that yeah, that it's really hard to get into games and that we both got into AR. And I think that's something that not a lot of 3D artists really consider until after they graduate. Because I never thought it was a prominent industry, you know? Like, is that what you thought as
Right.
well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And honestly, like, okay, so I was really torn when I got the job. Like, I was thinking, man, this is gonna be boring. Like, I'm gonna be making Snapchat filters. I'm gonna be putting silly things on your face, and man, that doesn't sound like the awesome stuff you get to do in video games.
Mm.
But I was actually rather wrong. I actually had a very rich and diverse like set of things that I got to make. Like, I modeled a fish, a snail, a car, planes, buildings, clothes. Like there was just so many different kinds of things I got to make that were really exciting. So I don't have any regret about it at all. Like it's just, and also it's really fast paced. So it's like we don't stay on one project for too very long. Like, and the next one comes along, and it was actually kind of exciting in that way.
Yeah, that's similar with me. We'd be working on multiple experiences at the same time, which is pretty interesting. When did you get into the industry? Like, when did you get that job?
So that was right at the beginning of 2021. And I can tell you that, back then, like, getting a job was easier, like, a lot easier.
I feel the exact
Uh,
same. I feel the exact same because that's when I broke into it too. I think around 2021 or 2020.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
Do we just have the exact same parallel experience?
yeah, I guess so.
Well, I was just gonna say that, I was at least getting several interviews, and some of them for some game studios. One of them was indie, and one of them, well, it was one of those outsourcing game studios. And I actually got to the part where you do the art test, and like that's as far as I got. But at least I was getting somewhere. But these days, like I've been applying for over a year now, and like I don't even get a call or an email. I mean, I get rejection letters, but that's it.
Oh, art tests, man. Bloody hell.
And
Yeah, I feel you though with the
yeah,
rejections.
it's I was really banking on like, oh yeah, 3 years of experience, yeah, that'll help me get even more interviews. More people will check me out when I apply. But no, that didn't actually help at all, especially with where the industry is right now.
Yeah, you feel like a pleb. I feel the exact same. See, after I got laid off and I tried to go for more jobs, I couldn't get anything, and I'm like, this is just so crap. Like, I really thought I got because I have the same as you, 3 years of industry experience, but you really feel like you're basically starting again. Like, you really feel like you have zero just by the way you're treated.
Right, because like when these recruiters, they look at your portfolio or your resume, and they see that, oh, you worked in AR, but that's not video games. Like they take that so literal, even
Mm.
though like AR is so adjacent, so parallel, because like, we've made games in AR, like plenty of them. Yeah, they're a lot smaller, very different scope and scale, but there's so much overlap still, and that isn't enough.
Yeah, our jobs are pretty much the same. Like you're sort of doing the same thing, except to I guess, a lesser fidelity in most cases
And
because it has to work on
yeah, a
mobile.
smaller scale, like this, like, instead of spending 2 years on something, it's like maybe 4 to 6 weeks at most.
And it will usually the experience will only last like a few minutes max most of the time. Especially if you're doing like what Snapchat filters.
Yeah.
It's like yeah. I think I've seen some of them on your portfolio. I think you had one of like Puss in Boots. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
It
right.
sits on your shoulder. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I love those things. It's so much better than the typical filters that most people put on, where it just like changes your face or stuff. I really love when we have augmented reality stuff as filters because it's so cool. But and we don't see it that often
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, I do think they're fun. And these are like the ones that, doing this professionally, the only way we make money is, the money comes from advertisement. So that's what all of them were advertisements. And there's so many different kinds of things that, want to advertise, and all of it needed 3D work, and that's where I got to do so many different kinds of things. Some of them were a bit boring, like the fashion stuff, like anything with clothes, like that's not particularly very exciting. Like high fashion stuff, like it doesn't really do much for me. But if you ask me to make a car or an environment or a character, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, the fashion stuff. See, I had to deal with fashion stuff too, man. We're so alike. But I agree with you completely with like that. It's sort of a little bit boring for us, but man, businesses love that stuff. Like
Hmm.
when you work B2B, which is like business to business, they love seeing that type of fashion stuff. And to your point about like 2021 versus 2025, I agree completely. I actually had a conversation with my old boss, and I was talking to him about like when I applied for the job that he posted. He posted on a Facebook group, and I was like he was like to me, yeah, when you applied, there was only like three or four other people to choose from, and I went with you because you were the most like enthusiastic about the job. Everyone else kind of seemed a bit set in their ways. I'm like, if you had to do that now, you'd probably get like 1,000 applicants.
Oh my goodness.
Like that's how bad it is now. But back then, I felt yeah, it was so much easier to get a job. I'm not sure if it's because like Blender wasn't as popular yet worldwide and there was less competition, but yeah, I have a few videos coming out in my YouTube
You,
channel
you
where I
know what?
show it's very it's very a lot of competition out there. You'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought about the Blender, aspect of it. Okay,
Mm.
so I got my job. It was posted on Indeed, and I had like it was posted as a remote job. I'm like, okay, great. I won't have to move for this one. And I didn't find out that the company was based in the Netherlands um, until I was like in the interview for the job.
Hmm.
Anyways, but they didn't even know that they posted worldwide. So they didn't intend to take on an American, but they saw my portfolio and they're like, yours was the best one by far. I'm like, wow, really? Just wow. I never had anyone say anything like that to me.
Yeah, I wonder what your
So,
portfolio looked like because I'll tell you that my portfolio was dog shit when I got my job. So
well, I had one killer piece on there, and it's still up there. Um, yeah, I made. I think that's where my start was. Is I was making a. I wanted to make something on the Unity Asset Store to actually sell, and I learned a lot trying to keep up to their standards, follow their guidelines, and organize the way they tell you to, and all that. Um, like it looks simple on paper, but then actually doing it was like, man, this is kind of hard. But looking back, like, man, that's amateur stuff now.
yeah, I saw
It
that
was like,
Unity asset stuff. It looks quite nice actually. I like the
well, thank
lighting
you.
and the Yeah, it's quite nice. Maybe I'll show a picture of it on while we talk.
Okay, yeah.
Hopefully I don't forget this
Um,
time.
and oh, and when I made that because Unity was showing, like, they had a, what do they call it, a preview of the HD render pipeline, and I
Mm,
was so excited because I'm such a huge Unity fan. And I just like it just I was always ashamed that Unity just kind of looked kind of just meh. But then HDRP, I'm like, wow, this looks awesome. So I jumped on that very early. It wasn't even in beta, it was in preview. And I was learning everything, reading through the docs, experimenting, trying out this stuff. And I started making that alleyway scene. And as I made it, I kept learning and learning and documenting all the quirks and stuff. Um, and when I finished it, I did get some people, ask for some support, and I would walk them through, all the little quirks, ins and outs of Unity, and well, now Unity's so mature now, it's like HDRP is, and yeah, I don't have to, I don't have to hold anyone's hand anymore. But it was one of those things that just really it really brought me to another level just to make that one asset pack, and why I felt like I was ready for that job with that AR studio. I'm like, yes, I can do this. Like, I can do this. Like, and there's a part of me I felt like it was a little bit beneath me, but I'm like, no, no, check yourself. Like, I'm sure this will be a humbling experience.
yeah, no, HDRP is really, really good. I've been using more like, see, I'm a Unity fan too. Man, we're so alike. But I've been using more URP now because URP's really been improving the graphics, man. Like
Yes.
it's really,
Hmm.
really good. And but HDRP just somehow still confuses me a little bit. I feel like there's too much going on sometimes, and you can end up. It's very easy to make things look very overblown and foggy as well. Is what I've noticed in HDRP. Like it's easy to turn the volumetric lighting to max, and like it looks good, but
Yes.
then you realize it just looks like it looks fake or
Well,
blue.
I
Yeah.
that was actually my favorite thing, was controlling all of those aspects of HDRP, because I dove so deep into it. And yeah, I kept jumping into URP, and kept missing a lot of the features. Like, it just isn't here. I can't do it.
Mm,
But they keep adding more and more, and they're adding a lot more parity between the two.
yes.
And I think with Unity 7, we're going to expect it to be essentially interchangeable. Like, in your project, if you want to change it from one to another, I believe it's supposed to just be able to switch now.
Yeah, I thought they were going to combine it all into one pipeline, like so. There's only one choice as well.
Maybe that's what it was, or they were unifying the pipelines in some way.
Yeah,
And
because there's
I
too many
remember,
now.
like, yeah, I was thinking either way, this will be exciting. Like, this will be great.
Yeah, because it's far too many. You got three pipelines. You have the built-in URP and HDRP. It's just too confusing for like a newer user to like know which one to select. Because it's like the built-in one is only there because so many people have made pre-existing assets that only work with that, and they don't really want to
Hmm.
get rid of it. But it literally, yeah, it doesn't feel right having all those pipelines. They should really just do what Unreal does, and I think they only have one, right? I don't use Unreal all the time, but I assume it's just the one that you can use.
And one trade-off is, like, if you're writing like custom shader code, look at the shader complexity between render pipeline, like HDRP or URP, and the built-in render pipeline. Man,
Oh yeah,
I can't handle it. I have to use shader graph.
yeah, yeah. It just makes it so much easier to visualize. Yeah. Speaking of like 3D, if you had to give like one tip to someone 3D modeling, like what would be your tip?
Hmm. I don't know if I could just pick one tip. I mean, like, there's several things I could think of, but, like, I think the most direct one to 3D modeling would be, like, when you're doing your project, keep it organized and neat as you work, and don't think like, oh, I'll do that later. No, like, name everything you do, like, as you create it. Like, if you're making a hierarchy. Oh, my screen turned off. Okay. uh yeah, just name and organize everything just as you work, because if you do it later, it can sometimes get overwhelming, and it'll take more time to do it later than it would if you just did it right at the beginning. But most of the advice I have about 3D modeling, it's more about like it's less about the actual modeling and more about like the profession. So I would
Mm.
say like being mindful of how long it takes you to do stuff, like keep track of it, because being able to say how long it takes something, giving an ETA on something is a skill, and you are expected to have it.
Yeah, interesting. One point I wanted to bring up was like when on my server we have a lot of people who share their portfolios and or particular pieces, and then and then we have people that kind of like critique them, which I think is amazing. It's always great to critique pieces because that's how we improve. But
Hmm.
I noticed that a lot of times when someone posts something and we have people that go like into depth, like really zooming in on it and like picking out little faults here and there. But when it comes to making assets for games, like the majority of the time, players don't even like realize it. And 3D artists are kind of expected to have like perfect portfolios. Like that, you should be able to like pull up a piece and see it and go, "Oh wow, this piece is perfect." Like every single detail is like amazing. But I don't know, like see, because my portfolio isn't like that. My portfolio is far from perfect, and I kind of center my portfolio about what I would make if I was making a game. So I don't
Hmm.
really put that extra detail when a lot of other people would, like it's like I guess employers want to see that, but that's not something I do. And I'm just wondering like your thoughts on
Uh,
that.
okay, so when I make a portfolio piece, I always try to make it like this is how it looked in production. I didn't like do extra beauty stuff for this shot. Like this is like how it looked and how it was intended to look for the intended product.
Mm,
I did that because I was always under this impression that when they're when you got when people or employers are looking over your portfolio to decide if you're hireable or not, they want to see stuff running in engine. Like they don't want to see a pre-render. They want to see like how can you put this together, compose it, get the shot just right, but like in engine, and it's real. It's actually finished.
yeah.
Like because the finish line is actually being in engine. So that's always stuck with me. But I've had people critique my work, and they'll say like, "Well, why do you have like say like why is this sandbag thingy or rice bag? I forgot what it was. It was like slightly clipping through a box. Like, why do you have that?" I'm like, "Oh, you're really picking on that?" Like, yeah, so sometimes I'd be like surprised at the things that were brought up, but the one I think was really important. Um, this one was like the hardest for me to grasp. Was it was attention to detail, but it wasn't like it's not like what you think. Like oh maybe this part of your texture just isn't like I don't know. Maybe there's a weird looking pixel here, or like oh maybe there's too much specular here. What I'm not talking about those kinds of things. It's more about like I'll give you a more specific example. Like I have like a set of boxes stacked on each other, and I had like a net like rope draped over it,
Mm,
and it it looked for this guy he said like it looks really good, but there is something wrong with it, and he kept asking me like what do you think it is, and he was really challenging me to define those details. And he was really making me work for it too. And it was like the drape like the physics of like how the rope kind of like laid on those boxes was pretty good, but there was still some like issues like maybe that rope looked like it was too stiff, and if it felt looser, like if it looked looser it would feel looser. Like you wouldn't even have to think about it, you just look at it and you would know that rope is sitting nice and loose on those boxes rather than looking like they're stiff and maybe strained when they shouldn't be. And those are the kinds of details that he was talking about. And yeah, like I said, it took me a while to fully wrap my head around like what he was getting at. Maybe it was like about intent, not just like the asset itself, but like the intent of the asset.
Like the story behind it, I guess.
Partially, because like clearly like there was a story it was being told, but like get a little bit lower level, like there was a whole environment around this thing. It was pretty clear what it was, but what's the story of like that rope resting on that box?
Yeah, something that the player would just literally walk past, like within 1 second. They probably won't even care. But it's very the words ain't like they're very anal about it. But I don't want to say the word anal. I'm trying to think of another word, but you know what I mean. They're very like they care a
Particular.
lot. Yeah, they're very particular. That's a good word. Yeah, they're very particular about that stuff, even though like it shouldn't really matter. And it's something that I see like when I look at other people's portfolios. Not necessarily in my Discord, but other ones that I've seen. It's like if they were to model like a pistol, for instance, I would see the portfolio piece and it'll be like the pistol on like some sort of combat military bench, but they didn't model the bench, they just modeled the pistol. And it's like,
Mm.
I see that and they add all like these post effects and they render it in Marmoset Toolbag or whatever. Like in a game portfolio, you can't make a game in Marmoset. So
Right.
I find it so weird when that is a thing. Like I prefer like I personally prefer the more authentic look, kind of like how your portfolio is, where it's like what you see is what you get. You know, if you pay for me, this is exactly what I'm going to deliver, and it'll look like this in the game. You know, and I think that's super. Like I think that's how it should be. But yeah, a lot of employers don't really see it that way. I think they see it more. They want to see the perfect render, which you're never going to get the perfect render in a game. You know.
Right. And see, that's why I thought like a lot of things were perfectly acceptable. Like, okay, so I had like this bait lit scene and it looked gorgeous. Everything looked perfect, except for like one thing, it was less than perfect. So I set up light probes around the scene for dynamic objects. And this is before, the adaptive probe volumes in Unity. And yeah, there's a trade-off with those light probes. Of course. And it's a small object too. So the lighting just wasn't as high fidelity on like this bucket sitting in the corner than the rest of the environment, and he was pointing that out. And I even like explained that, but he's like, "But that doesn't matter." I'm like, I really thought it did.
Yeah, it drives me off the wall sometimes. Um,
Hmm.
I wanted to ask you, like, you don't have to tell me how much you got paid, but like, how do you think the pay is? How's your experience with how the pay's been for you?
Well, I'd say okay, that was really hard to figure out, and even to this day, I'm not even entirely sure. But I'd say it's okay. Um, so when I started, let's see, what did I start at? I'm trying to remember. Um, I want to say like maybe it might have been 20 euro an hour.
Oh, right, yeah,
Yeah,
because they were paying you in euros because of the Sweden. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's where it started. I believe it was 20 an hour.
Okay, that's awesome,
Um,
actually. So that would be like
uh,
$40 my money, Australian, I think. Because I think €1 equals 2 Aussie. I'm not sure. I have to look. Yeah, go on, go on.
all right. Well, I had like done my research to try to figure out what to ask. Like I went on Glassdoor, I went, you know, everywhere I could to try to find somewhere that said like, yes, this is how much people in this kind of position, even juniors, make. And I'm like, okay, so it's within the bracket, a fair bracket, but it's a little on the low end, at least for American jobs. But and then I started looking at the pay for that region, and yeah, like it was more middle of the road for over there. So I can't say that it was poor, but I always felt like, man, like I feel like I could be making more. So I didn't ask for more until like, you know, it was over a year later.
Hmm.
But I do recall like when things were going really great, my boss actually came to me and called me and said like, "Hey, if you want a raise, you just need to ask. It's one of those things you need to learn how to do." And like that was such a nice, you know, forward thing for him to do. Like I like that.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
always appreciated that. But like at the time, like I was working on this really heavy project, and a lot it felt like a lot was riding on, and also I was working solo on the project. Um, I wanted to do well on that and finish it before he asked for a raise, because like I felt like that was really going to set the bar for like the standard of my work. So once that was finished, I tried to ask, but things started getting kind of bad, like industry wise. There's like with AR, there's different like every season there's a fluctuation in like the amount of advertisers wanting these
Mm.
things done, and we were in a slump, so it didn't happen right away. It was a little bit later, and then it got bumped up to almost 23 an hour.
Oh, well, that's awesome. To give you context, when I first started my job, I was getting 15.50 euros an hour. But I did ask for a raise within like 3 months because one, I purposely see I went in with the strategy, just ask for less at the start, and then hopefully that gets your foot in the door, and then you can get more. That I would see if I would have that strategy worked, but in today's day, nah. So many, but that's awesome that you had a boss that like literally told you that you should ask for a raise. Then you should learn to do that. That's an awesome boss. Uh,
Yes, like I was really impressed and grateful, to hear that. Like it did encourage me to do it, but like I wasn't quite ready. But like I did take his word to heart. Like, yeah, I need to learn how to do this, and have the courage to say like, hey, I want more.
yeah, it's always scary. Because you feel like you have to justify yourself as well. Like, how did you feel when you asked for the raise?
Oh man, I'm trying to recall how it even went down. Let's see. Um, I don't think it was anything particularly like it wasn't really all that memorable. Is pretty much like, it was expected. Like he knew I wanted more.
Hmm.
So I just went to shoot my shot, and well, I asked for a higher amount than I thought I could get.
Yep.
And then like, he brought it back down. I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. So he okay. See, what I do is I don't ask for a specific amount. I just say, hey, can I have a raise? Oh, you know what I love to do? I love to talk about inflation with them because you know how we got hit with huge inflation. I
Oh
would say
yes.
like, hey, the inflation rate's 8%, and that's like that's just keeping my pay at the same. So when I would ask for a raise, I'd be like, make sure you factor in that 8% as well. So so I wouldn't just get like a 10% raise, I'd get like maybe like a 15 to 20% raise because I want
Yes.
to be paid the same. Like it sucks. Imagine like not getting an inflation raise. That would suck. Imagine getting paid less the more you work. It's just
Oh
so
my
bad.
goodness, yeah.
So many people are
Um
so afraid just to even ask for that.
yeah, like I was like cuz like it's still a bit scary. Cuz like, okay, when I did ask for what I asked for, I did kind of get that wide eyed kind of look. I'm like, oh no, I've done it. And it was one of those things like he's like, I'm gonna have to get back with you on that.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyways,
fair.
when he did, he spent some time justifying it. He did say like this accounts for inflation too, but it's like but the figures he was saying, percentage wise, normally a raise is this much. We're
Hmm.
doing double that. But I'm like, but you're he got like my base pay wrong, so the calculations were just off. But it's still like a very good raise. So I was just like, you know what, whatever. Like I'm not gonna be able to twist your
Mm.
arm for more. But he was trying to make it feel like I was getting more than I was.
Yeah, he's probably only expecting you to ask for like a 5% raise, like a small, he was trying to guide you into like asking for a small raise. That way he gets the illusion that you're happy because you got a raise, but at a less expense to them, you
Yeah.
know?
And also, I feel like I have to also say that, yeah, maybe I don't have entire confidence. I feel like the pay is completely fair because I have limited amount of knowledge of what kind of money they make on these projects.
Mm,
And when I do the math on that, it seems like, okay, yeah, some of these can be tight, some of them not so tight. So yeah, maybe it is like, they really cannot afford to pay that much more. So I wasn't gonna complain too much.
Yeah, and you said you were the only artist, but how many people were at the business when you
Oh
were
no, I
working?
wasn't the only artist. I was just the only freelance artist. Everyone else worked at the studio.
Ah, and how many? Okay, um, how many artists were there in total?
Oh, let's see. I think there was about like 9.
Oh wow, that's a bigger studio. Well, much
Yeah,
bigger than what I was at.
it did get big. Like yeah, it really it was growing. Um, yeah, I think 9
Yeah.
is right. And then I guess you got some like, we had someone I would consider a technical artist.
Hmm.
He was still like considered a developer over there, but he could pull off some really cool stuff.
Did you ever ask your coworkers how much they were getting paid?
I did eventually, and it was basically the same, if not like just maybe I was like a slightly on the higher end, but we're just talking like a few cents or something.
Okay, all right. So it seems to be okay. Seems to be kind of fair. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. I was happy to find that we're like around like the same like area, and not so much disparity.
Yeah, because that would
So that,
suck
that
if
was good.
there was a disparity. Imagine like someone who just got there that's newer earning more. That would
Oh,
just that would sting hard.
oh yeah.
That would just be so bad. That luckily that's never happened to me because I've always been the junior of the group when I was working. So um, my bosses, well, I don't know if I call them bosses, but they would be making way more than me. But I was always okay with it because they would tell me how much they were making, and then I could sort of adjust my rate to be proportional to them, you know?
Yeah.
So it still kind of works in that way. And you said so you got laid off, right?
Yes.
Same as
Okay,
me.
so
Hmm.
my condition, like how my contract worked was like I pretty much just got like full-time hours every week, and the contract automatically renewed month to month until we any one of us agreed that we didn't want to do so anymore. And then like once that contract expires, an additional 30 days, just to make sure like we have proper expectation, not just sudden cut off of like demand or whatever. So um but yeah, when I was laid off, they were trying to fire as many people as possible, but they were on different kinds of contracts that last like 6 months. So as soon as like it would expire, like, just out the door, like there, because like there were just no jobs coming in. There was just no money being made.
Yeah, investors are just yeah. There's a big push towards. I'm not sure if your line of work they tried to creep into crypto. Did that happen with you?
Oh yeah, okay. So that actually was right when I started. Like I've seen it all over their website. It was like in a lot of like some documents and folders in our project files. Like yes, there was some crypto buzz going around. There was NFT buzz going around. And actually, the very first project I worked on was to promote an NFT collection. And then there was some metaverse talk, but not one of those things really took off.
Yeah, it happens, and like it's very reliant on how the market's doing. So if the market's doing really bad, it's like less investment funding, and if the market's doing better, there's more. And yeah, that's interesting, man. AI is like so similar across the board, unless we're just getting coincidences. But like it was the exact same with me. It's like if you're in AR, you're probably likely somewhat tied into crypto with the AR, which
Yeah,
is
I
interesting.
feel like AR is like I feel like the AR industry has a personality. I feel like I wish I could like encompass it, but like I feel like AR is the cool kid wannabe and is always chase like someone. I wish I could paint a better picture, but I feel like it's a wannabe kind of thing, and in so doing, you chase any of those trends to look cool.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of competitions. It's very competition based, isn't it? Everyone's in competition with each other.
Yeah.
with AR because even if they're like completely different AR applications, I feel like compared to games, it's like everyone the competition's more fierce because like you're never gonna see like a horror game compete with a kid's party game, you know. But with AR, I feel like you could do a horror themed AR versus like a kids themed AR, and they would be somehow in competition with each other. It's
Well,
just
yeah, I mean, I guess when it comes to the mobile space, I mean, and like you're competing with everything that takes your time, everything. So any amount of attention, like getting your eyeballs on the screen, looking at their product.
yeah, no, exactly, 100% true. All right, let's move on to another topic. I want to hear any crazy stories you have, whether it be from you or like people you know. Like, is there anything that's like absolutely crazy or like has some drama to it? Let's hear what you got.
Hmm. Okay. Um. So okay, yeah, I got one. It's kind of minor, but then it kind of did blow up on someone. All right. So I work remote, and I'm 7 hours, like, time difference with the Netherlands. So they start way earlier than me. Uh, I log on around like 7 a.m. my time, and I'll have 4 hours of overlap with them. And during that first 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours that I'm not there, a lot of conversations happen, and um, sometimes a lot of blame falls on me for something that didn't quite go right.
Mm.
And whether it had anything to do with me or not, I'm not there to say anything. I can't defend myself. I can't call it out. And I'll wake up and see those messages. I'm like, what is going on here? I didn't do this. Yes, I did do my job. Look, you see the timestamp. I posted it like at this time. That had happened quite a few times, and it's one of those things that I advise you like to like watch your back, like CYA if you know what that is. Um, so this didn't last for too long because there had been some complaints around the studio that how to put this, some things have been clashing, some people have been clashing, particularly with the art lead.
Mm.
And also we had like, well, basically like two or three people got fired around this time, and it had to do with like just people essentially just not quite doing their job just right. But I was like, brought in for, I guess like a one-on-one to find out what was going on around the office. And all I could say was that sometimes things were difficult because of communication. And it wasn't long after that, like three people got fired. But it mostly had to do like with me, and also I think a few other artists. It was because this one particular person kept trying to, in a way, like take credit for other people's work. Somehow like able to do that directly or indirectly. Like I was having to help others complete their work because like the deadline is tight. I'm assisting how I can, just trying to make it work. But like I assisted, but I was never brought up. She says, "Oh, look, yes, I finally did it. I got this done." But she wouldn't say that, I did anything. And then someone would ask, like, "What was Damon doing all day?" And it's like, "Oh, nothing." I'm like, "Excuse me? What do you mean? I was helping you all day. I
Oh
finished my
wow.
work. Like all my tasks are done. I was helping you."
Yikes. Man, that person's out to get you, mate.
Yes, but I maintained a reputation of getting my work done and doing it well. So it wasn't something that was gonna work easily to just like say that I wasn't doing I wasn't doing my work, because I always do my work, and
Mm.
everyone knew it. So yeah, it just didn't quite work. So actually, if I were to give more 3D modeling advice, like it does help to maintain that reputation that you're reliable, be good at what you do, but also be likable. Because if you're, this goes on to the next story. If you're not likable, you're an easy target to be eliminated, like to be fired.
Like, when you mean likable, do you mean put it on like an act? Like, let's like, I'm not sure how you like
Well,
actually are, but yeah, would you say that putting on an act is that what you mean?
I don't know if that's necessarily what I mean. Like, are you easy to get along with? Are you abrasive? Like, are you pleasant to be around? Like, when you walk into the room, is the room better for it, or is it a lot worse?
Yeah.
So I think it is important to be likable. Like, it gets kind of clicky. And if someone doesn't like you, like you can be targeted, and like I was targeted, but most people liked me. I guess like it was just this one particular individual didn't like me.
Yeah, maybe they
Or
saw you as a threat. Like,
I did feel that this person was really insecure with their job, and they wanted to maintain that they belonged in that position.
because I worried you were gonna outdo their
Well,
performance.
well, there's no way I could take that position anyway, because it would be inappropriate for me to take the lead. Being 7 hours like offset time with them, have very little overlap,
Oh, so
and
the
I
person
wouldn't
that
be
got
able
you
to.
was the lead.
I'm sorry.
The person that was like complaining was the lead.
Yes, yes, that was the
Hmm.
one causing. That was where a lot of the trouble was coming from, at least as far as I understood. But like my personal experience was, yeah, like I'd help, and yeah, and she would say like, yeah, he didn't do this, and another person be like, no, I did that.
Yeah, that makes it man. The plot thickens. That makes a total amount. That makes sense now. Like why that? Because they don't want to lose that position, you know,
Yeah,
and
so
they're
like
worried
yeah,
about you.
it very easily people can feel threatened, and like if you're likable, it's harder to be a target, and also it's like good to have a good reputation about like getting your work done. Like you can almost become untouchable, but it helps defend yourself because yeah, there will be people in higher positions who will want to get you out, and that gives me on to another story of a friend of mine. So this friend, he was new there, and he was working as a developer, a junior developer, and the lead developer did not like him at all. Like I don't know what their problem was, but I think it had to stem with the fact that this new guy, my buddy, uh, he leveraged AI a bit because this was when generative AI really took off and was proving to be really useful in coding. So he would leverage it, and it was actually encouraged. It's actually part of why he got hired was because he knew how to use these technologies, and it was one of the things they wanted to experiment with. So he was finding good success in what he was doing, but he was always put in these impossible positions. It seemed. Um, like to give you an example, he made this experience on Snapchat, and there was like this tracking issue, and it had to do with like taking like the position of your hand and correlating with the screen space and 3D space at the same time, so you could touch these 3D objects, and it was working, but there were some issues. And we had to make this work on the Snapchat mirror device, and that works on a very specific version of Snapchat. So he had to develop using that version. But every time it would like give like false collisions. So the other developers took a look at it, the lead and everyone, and I don't know what the deal was. It seemed like none of the developers liked him. I don't know why, but everyone said like this code doesn't make any sense. like Like that's strange. Like, okay, buddy, I'll take a look. And so we reviewed the code line by line, and there was nothing wrong with it. Like it was perfectly legible code. So everyone is just lying. It was really simple. I don't know why they would lie to make him look bad, but that's exactly what happened.
Again, I think it just comes down to the threat of like AI. No one wants to lose their job to an AI, and I think
Well, I wrote an email to my boss saying, like, I have some perspective that might help ease the situation with this project because, like, the project was taken from him and given to someone else to redo it entirely. And they had to basically do a hacky workaround and make a sacrifice for the experience to even work. But what he had was perfectly fine because we tested this on another version of Snapchat and it worked just fine. We did some debugging and we found that it was just a tracking issue. Like this is Snapchat's tracking that we don't have any access to improve. And they improved it from this version to this version. So that's what's happening. It doesn't look like it, but we found it, we proved it, and still that fell on deaf ears.
okay, so there was like
Anyway,
nothing
so
you could do.
yeah, and he got relegated to some really menial tasks for a few months until his contract expired. They let him go, and they said, we don't really have a real reason like to fire you. You did just fine. It's just we don't really have a real reason. We're not good at this, and that was it. And it was
Oh,
really because the lead developer was entirely like he entirely had his ear.
that's man, that is such a unique story. That is insane. I've never heard something like that before. Um, but that's awesome. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. It's awesome to
Yeah, yeah,
it's not awesome for what happened, but it's awesome that you're able to share that, and it's very interesting. Um, like the stories that I have are kind of around you do work and not get paid, which I guess probably sucks more than that. But like, I did
yeah.
work back in December. I still haven't been paid for it.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah, so because it's not too much. It's a couple thou, but like it's still like that's money that I could be using for
Yeah, absolutely.
things like to help fund the studio that I want to start with my brother.
Well,
So
now, well, now you got me curious. I mean, like, do you have any story, anything even remotely like that?
well, yeah, like there's the December thing, but there's also the classic renegotiate the rate after you do the work.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. It's like you agree to like something, but you don't get it because it's such a small task. Like, as in, it was like 2 days of work. Um, there was no like contract drafting. It was more so you do the work and then they draft the contract, which I'm never going to make that fucking mistake again. No matter how small the task, always get it in writing, like in contract
Yes.
writing, not just in Slack messages, which I did have.
Hmm.
Because it's not even well, like even if you don't get your way and you want to sue them, I mean, what you're going to pay these lawyers just to take like 2 days of work? It's not even worth it, yeah. So yeah, always before you start work, always get it written in a contract because we agreed on a pay rate and time, and then after I did the deliverables and they saw the product, they're like, "Hey, our budget's a bit tight. We can give you this amount," and I'm like, "That's like 30% less than what we agreed to," you know.
Oof.
Yeah, I was really mad, and but at least it wasn't like a long-term job. At least it was like only a couple of days work. But that still sucks, man.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm gonna take that to heart. Like I haven't been in that situation before. Like I have considered taking on like small jobs like that. It's never really ever happened.
Yeah,
But man, I could have easily have fallen into the same mistake.
yeah. It's a freelancing issue.
Yeah, and I haven't done like a lot of like necessarily freelancing because like I was a contractor for the other one, but
Mm.
now I'm a freelancer for them. Like I just like when they need me, they'll let me know.
Yeah. Is it for like a bigger corporation as well? Like how you in
No,
your
it's
previous
it's a
job, or is
pretty
it a
small
small?
studio. It's a
Okay.
small studio.
But they've been treating you rather pretty decently, right?
Yes, I mean like
Hmm.
like the freelance stuff, like with the time difference, it was kind of rough at first, but we worked it out, and now it's going way smoother. So glad about that. Like I guess like another 3D modeling tip. I keep thinking of them as we keep talking. Communication is so important. Learn how to communicate. Like even the scary stuff. Like oh, and sometimes you may have to like over communicate, especially with the people like who just aren't being forthcoming with some details. You're just gonna have to hunt for these things and like bug them until they say something. But communication is so important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree totally with that. Although I have had examples of the communication being great, but it still doesn't turn out the way I want it to. Like with that,
Yeah.
like we did agree, like with that previous story, we did agree on like the amount and stuff, and then yeah, because I didn't get. I guess getting a contract is a form of communication, right? So,
Yes.
so, but in that, but I've been, but that's not the only time I've been screwed over. I got screwed over by this rock band who I made like they released a new song and they wanted just like a simple looping animation of their band logo, and I put my heart and soul in that. Like I put like I think three days of work, and I put my heart and soul in it, and it looks really good. Like I showed my mates, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is sick. Can you do this for our band?" Like, because I'm in a band myself, and they're like, "If you do something similar to this, that'll be sick." And then I sent it to him. Like I didn't send him like the full high res version because I knew in the back of my mind that there could be something wrong. So I didn't send him the full
Mm.
thing. And I'm like, hey, here's what I got for you. I'll take that payment. And then I just got blocked and ghosted.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, it's the same
Wow.
situation where you can't sue him because it's not even worth suing him.
Like kind of reminds me of this one random Discord message I got. Like this guy's like, "Hey, can you make like this? I think it was an axe or a hammer for me. I mean, just like a really simple one. Like it would take no time at all. Like,
They all
but
say
like
that.
I'm on
They
a
all fucking
and
say that.
they want it for free. And I'm like yeah, it might take me like 2 minutes to do, but I'm not doing it for free because like you give them an inch, they'll walk all over you.
100%. 100%. And
And like,
it's the
well, if
same
it's
with
so easy,
revisions.
like if it's so easy, then then why bother? And like why bother charging for it? I'm like, well, if it's so easy, go do it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, I hate when that legit happened to me. Also, that ties into like asking for revisions. You know, the job might be paid, which is great, but then you deliver it and it's like, hey, we need these changes, these changes, these changes. And what they expect that for free. And again, this comes back to the contract. You know, you say like, here, I'll do the work for this amount, and you're allowed one or two revisions. But yeah, people just think that you'll do this for free. Like people, pisses me off.
Absolutely. Artists are the ones who get screwed over the most. Like I think
Yes.
like isn't that like almost like a corporate like saying like how enterprises like will screw over artists?
Yeah, no, it's completely true. Like, you just have to look me versus my brother because he's a programmer, I'm an artist. He just gets treated so much better than me when it comes to jobs and getting respect from employers and like stuff. Like, just especially for freelance work, for short term stuff, programmers just get treated so much better than artists. And it's just like, I've never heard anyone disagree with that ever. It's a
Right, yeah,
consensus that
same.
it's true.
Yeah, I have limited experience as a professional programmer, so I feel like I can't really quite say just yet, but I can say I get paid a lot better as a developer.
Yeah, it could be like double or even
Oh,
more.
no, it's a lot more.
Oh, well, wow. Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. For like a
Like
software. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, like okay, like it depends on the job. Like okay, I don't have that many hours with what I do as a freelance programmer, but like I get paid like a rate of like 4 times as much.
Whew. Jeez. And that's not for games, right? That's for like other
No,
stuff. Yeah.
it's more like not quite enterprise, but like
Mm.
just business really.
Yeah. I have a mate that's in computer science and he works for a big tech company and he gets paid fucking good money. But for
Wow.
game programmers, it's like it's not as it's a bit different as a game programmer. It's probably like 1.5 to 2x most of the time compared to an artist. So yeah, it's more, but nothing on the level of like building like app development and enterprise and business stuff like you were saying.
Well, now that we're on the subject, now I have a question. Like, with 3 years under your belt, and that was your, AR stuff. Like, was that your first job too? You said.
My first proper. Well, I worked at KFC before that, so you can't really like. It's my first proper job. Yeah.
Okay, well, just like with professional 3D experience, like, do you consider yourself still like a junior or like a mid level?
Oh, yeah. Look, for the amount of years I have, I guess you could technically count me as either junior or mid, because I think 3 years kind of falls between that middle ground of becoming a mid and finishing junior. But
Hmm.
when I compare my portfolio and my work to other artists who are of the same level, I do still feel like I'm more on the junior side. But I will say that I am more generalized than most people. So, like, the majority of
Yeah.
artists don't know how to implement their art into a game. They just make the 3D model, texture it, whatever they do, and put it on their portfolio and they're done. But I actually know how to put that art into Unity and actually put some, like, I know a little bit of coding myself. I'm not professional level, no way. I would probably never get a professional coding job yet. But, like, I can make it, I can make it do anything that's simple enough. So that
Okay,
is,
yeah. So
yeah.
you're kind of like where I'm at. Like I feel like I'm kind of in between junior and mid. I feel like if I got a mid job, like yeah, I could absolutely live up to it. But if I were, applying for a job, man, I feel like it's harder for me to justify that mid level position.
Hmm.
And I guess the root of my question is like, when it comes to like pay expectations, like what do you think your skills are valued at? Like what do you value them at? Or like what are you, or actually, more like what are you hoping to be able to make, hourly or yearly?
Yeah. So I sort of, I charge per the job. It depends on what I'm doing. So, like, if I'm working on one particular, like, if it's my first time working with this client and it's like a small project, I would typically charge like less than what I would normally for like a long term position. Um, I've been paid all over the place. Exact amount, like my range is like anywhere from like 30 Australian to 60 Australian. It really depends on what I'm doing, and I make the client. I always tell the client like my expectations based on what they want from me. So if it's like easy work, like if I'm doing like just simple low poly modeling, which I don't need to worry about texturing or stuff, it's just really basic stuff, then my pay expectations will be a bit lower. But if I'm doing like complicated shit where I have to like do some character modeling or trying to replicate real life things to a high standard, then I'm going to be charging more. So it really depends on the job with me.
Well, like, when I'm looking at game jobs, like I'm hoping that I can, at least one day get to like a game dev job full
Mm.
time. Like I'm making around like, I feel like 60,000 a year on the low end and 75,000 on, like, oh, that's pretty good. And I know, like, if seniors, like, yeah, they get paid quite a bit more, especially depending on
Yeah.
which state you're living in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But like that's kind of like a goal I've been trying to get to. But with the AR stuff, like I was making around like 45, maybe 50,000 a year.
Yeah, see that's okay because I'm using Australian dollars. So like you're saying 50K American, that would be like something like
Yes.
80-ish K Australian, which for, like that's actually pretty decent like for
Yeah,
an
and
Australian to earn.
it is decent. Like, here, like, I don't live like in California. I live in, where the, standards of like the cost of living is, I'd say, closer to the lower end, kind of.
Okay.
But yeah, like like I'm doing okay.
Yeah,
I
no, you're
can't
doing great.
really complain. It's just like, I have aspirations to, make it up a little higher.
Yeah, see, I'm at the point where I don't really want to work. for anyone else. I kind of want to do. I'm at that point where I just want to start my own studio and just do that. Like
Yeah.
that's why I got into the YouTube thing. Like I got sick and tired of the industry and like how bad it is. And like I couldn't, if you can't land a job to begin with, then you kind of have to pivot. And I guess this is my pivot.
Right.
But in terms of aspirations, I don't really care how much I earn, if that makes sense. Like as in like I don't have that thought in the back of my head, oh, I need to be a six-figure guy. Like I just want to do what I want to do. And I think it helps that like I live from home, like with my parents. So I don't have any like I don't know about you. Um, do you live at home like with parents or are you by yourself or renting?
I'm paying a mortgage right now.
Oh wow, okay. Do you is it by yourself or with someone?
No, actually, like me and one of my best friends, like we actually went on the house together because
Mm.
the housing market was so bad, and it only got worse. But
Yeah.
I told him like because we were being evicted from our well, not really evicted. The owner was selling the house, and we just had to
Yeah, yeah.
skedaddle. Anyways, well, we had to find a place to live, and we were just like, well, if we're gonna rent, it'd be nice if we could just put that towards something we can own. And I saw the writing on the wall. It's just like housing market is getting so bad, and it's only going to get worse.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so bro, let's just go ahead and just get a house together, and we'll just we came up with an arrangement to just share the financial load on that, and it's been working for us.
Yeah, see, that makes sense that you want to earn more because you've got like you have a commitment to pay that debt off on the mortgage. So
Yes, absolutely.
it makes complete sense. Yeah, no, that's good. So you're with someone and then you're paying half half and
Exactly.
yeah. I assume like is it a biggish house that you got or do you have like the minimum?
No, it's
Is it
it's actually kind of small.
like a two bedroom type thing with one kitchen?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's totally fine. And is this an apartment or like a house?
It's a house. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
I
it's
mean,
land included.
yeah, a little bit, but like it's decent. Like I'm happy here. Like I'm very happy here. It's just I want to feel secure and like
Mm.
oh okay, don't worry, I'm gonna make it. Like
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Like it's a lot of pressure if you're not in that position where you can pay back the yeah.
and see, like I would love to do the whole like my own studio thing. Like that's
Hmm.
like yeah, like when I told you that I wanted to make games when I was a kid, like that was the goal. Like was to eventually like make my own studio. But like that is hard. That is really
Oh
difficult to
yeah.
do. And I've been looking at like the professional working environment. Like we've seen the layoffs. I've watched your videos, and I've been keeping my ear to the ground and trying to apply for jobs. And I've been seeing the news. It is bad.
Yeah.
Like it is so bad. Like honestly, I don't see another way that I'm ever gonna professionally work on video games unless I just do it my absolute self.
Yeah, no, it's when you go like I'm not sure if you ever went to university to study games design, did you?
No, no, I'm self-taught.
Oh well, self-taught, yeah. Well, anyways, it's like when you go to uni, you'll find that when you talk to people in the industry, like as in students, you'll find that everyone will say, "Oh, I want to start my own studio. Oh, I want to start my own studio." Everyone wants to do that, but yeah, it's just really really hard. You never expect to be forced down that route though. Like I feel like I'm being forced a little down there. I want to do it. I want to start the
Yes.
studio, but I feel like I'm being forced to. Like ideally, back when I was in university, I would have thought maybe I would have had, another at least 5 years in me to do more industry stuff before I actually consider doing the studio. But because of just how rough it is out there, and especially when you got things like Marvel Rivals, where the game can do absolutely amazing, yet they still lay off freaking so much of their staff. It doesn't matter whether or
Yes.
not you're doing shit or you're doing good. That's scary, and that's just going to keep getting worse, in my opinion.
Right. I can't help but think about like how Marvel Rivals was that one, right? How that one went down. They didn't they like recently fire like a lot of the team that made that?
Yeah, they got rid of the Seattle employees, the Americans, because the like, why pay an American? Um, they'd probably be getting paid good money. They'd probably be getting paid like at least 50 US an hour to be in Seattle. Why pay that
Yeah.
when you can go to Philippines, India, China, and pay like a fraction of that for
Yeah, because they
yeah,
finished the grunt work and actually getting the game launched and built, and now they want to outsource to cheaper labor to maintain the live services.
exactly. It's like
Like, but
it
they
makes
couldn't they
sense.
couldn't pivot those people to another project. Like, isn't that how this is supposed to go? But not anymore. Everything is live service. It's 100% dedicated to the live service, baby, the one,
Yeah,
not
the one,
the many
exactly.
projects that we used to have.
Yeah, that used to be the thing where it's like you use the profits of the previous game to make another game that's even bigger and better. But yeah, I guess maybe I don't know, the executives just want to cash out, maybe, or
Oh
the
yeah,
people
that's
running
that's
it.
the thing about every investor, every publisher. It's the same story no matter what industry you go into. Like, they're always looking for the big hits. Like, they're not patient enough to just let this thing grow and become a thing. Like, no,
Hmm.
they want those massive successes, which, I mean, you and I have already seen, like, how much risk that entails, especially like with how much crash and burn there is with all these AAA studios. I mean, look at
Mm.
Ubisoft, like, it's on freaking fire, man.
Oh man, I can't wait for the Assassin's Creed game to come out. I'm not. I'm like.
I
I'm not
am.
even sure how it's gonna. Like, it might be the best thing ever. It might be good,
Oh,
but
I know. Like, I'm
that's the
actually
funny part.
like cautiously like optimistic. If that, I mean, like, I'm like, okay, this could be really good, or it could be hot garbage. But like, it still has like so much controversy around it, and I feel like it's honestly kind of getting more than it deserves.
Yeah, they're very true. Like, there was a leak apparently recently. Did you hear about that?
Oh yes, like the physical game leaked, right?
Yeah, apparently. I'm not sure if it's true. I saw it on TikTok. It could be just BS, but um, yeah, I wonder. I haven't really looked into it. Have you looked into it a bit more?
What I had seen was just like the physical copy in someone's hand, and there was a post about their experience with the game. Like, they actually said there weren't any like game breaking bugs or any bugs of that matter at all. And it was a very early version, early build of the game, apparently, because, like, they can't do the day one patch. But
Hmm.
I guess bravo on, like, the game works out of the box. Um, let's see, what else did they say? Um, I guess I don't really remember all that much. They just had some comments about, you know, the game running just fine. I think there was some missing content, like maybe had something to do. Oh, that's right. There's like a code that comes with the physical copy. You enter the code and you redeem like a thing, and that didn't work.
Uh-oh. I hope they don't have like paid expansions on day. Like, you pay for the game and then you got to pay for extra shit. I bet. I bet that's gonna be a thing.
Well, it could be like the early edition of the game. Comes with this different sword or something. I don't
Mm.
know. Like that's how it was with I think it was like Assassin's Creed 2, one of those, like the one of the Assassin's Creed 2s. Like, yeah, I had like a code for me to enter, but it was because like I bought it like the first batch of the games that they put out.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, exactly. Man. All right. There's another topic. Let's move on to something else. So I'm sure you've seen stuff in my Discord. There's a big split between how people want to fix the games industry. So we have probably half the people saying that they want to they want to fix the current one, but then we have a lot of people that also say they want it to completely die and then for it to start again, like to have
Uh,
completely new companies
yeah.
take over and like indie to take the forefront, and then those indies become the big studios. Like, what's your opinion?
Oh,
Where do you
yeah, that's
stand?
interesting. You bring that up. I've thought about that a lot myself. Um, so I've been on the side of the fence for quite a while that I wish the bubble would just burst. I mean, we've had a video game crash before in the 80s, and let's see. We've experienced, other kinds of bubbles like the housing bubble in 2008.
Hmm.
Um, and what came of that? And I guess that's one of those things I want to ask myself is like, okay, so if this bubble bursts, what would be the likely outcome? And it's hard to say, but we can look back at the crash in the video game crash in the 80s, and we saw after the game industry was like, recovering, what they learned was to be more careful with licensing. Um, the the work culture became more professional, and the quality of games, there was a lot more polish to it after that. So yeah, we got some good things out of it. Some negatives. Uh, I don't really know if I have any strong negatives, except for like, I guess you were getting kind of near monopolies with like Nintendo, for instance. But I
Mm.
mean, it was only a matter of time before competition finally caught up, and now there is. So, what does it look like if we were to have another crash now? Like, is it going to actually fix anything?
I think people want more than a crash. They want a complete obliteration of it and a complete fresh start. They don't even want to see Ubisoft. They don't want to see Halo
Oh
Studios.
my.
They don't want to see Activision. They want them removed off the face of the planet, and they want new, like they want
Okay,
new things.
okay. I hadn't thought about it going full thermonuclear.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of it like that. I mean, okay, and then the other alternative was just what was the other side of this fence?
Oh yeah, like saving it. So like, yeah, I guess we'll go more in depth with what
Well,
we can do about that.
okay, saving it. Okay, like, well, maybe there is a middle road where there is a crash, but what remains. Everyone learns a damn lesson here.
It's like a wooden spoon to the bum. It's like scare them, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it does. Okay. I don't. I don't know about going full thermonuclear like that. Like, that's not something I had really considered. But like, you would lose. Like, we're already losing a lot of studios, and they're all crumbling.
Yeah.
One by one. But it's it's mainly the publishers that we're having so much issue with, and maybe not specifically just publishers, but like the investors who put money into it.
Yeah, they expect you to be like so popular and already so profitable by the time they give you money. Like in order to get like funding, they kind of expect you to already have like a large player base who would buy the game when it comes out. And it's like, well, you're funding the people who already made it, you know. You're giving them extra stuff. Like if I had to apply for funding myself now, probably won't get it, you know. Because you just need all like you need to give them confidence that you can't just say how good your game is going to be and when you develop it's going to be amazing. They want to see actual numbers and they want to see if this game was to come out now it would probably get 20,000 sales and that would equal this amount of dollars and then with that we take our cut, you know. But it's just feels so hard. It's one of those things where the rich get richer in terms of like the more developed studios just become bigger and bigger. And it's probably, even if we have like what these people call a full reset, it's just going to, I feel like it's just going to repeat itself again. You're going to see, we might see new companies, you know, instead of Ubisoft, we might have Ubi Hard, you know, completely different, or Ubisoft cock, which I call them. But it'll be the same. It'll be this like in time. I think that it's just going to get to the same thing. So we really need to do something different. And this is what I wanted to talk to you about. So I think you've probably watched my video about how we could fix the games industry, and it's basically me talking about things we can do as a community to really have our voice. But what I learned from that video is people don't really want to. Not many people want to join at the beginning. They want the movement to already be strong enough and large enough,
Yeah.
and then they will support it. So I initially wanted to rate companies and job posts and like, you know, our community votes on it and then we put it to some database and then I share a video on it and then the community sees it and they share it to gamers and then they have a laugh about it. But in order to grow big, I think we need to pivot more towards gamers, not game devs. So instead of rating like companies, we rate games, kind of like how IGN does it, except with some backbone and proper respect. So I think we need to do that. Because you know, like I was talking to my dad about this, and he talks about the Michelin star rating system. Like that didn't just come out of nothing. There was like the Michelin tire group people that were traveling around the country, and they were always stopping at restaurants, and they decided to band together and start raiding restaurants because they'll be traveling between different countries and states and whatnot. And I just thought it was amazing that they banded together and they made something that restaurants actually give a shit about. And I'm hoping we can sort of do the same thing, but with games, you know?
Yeah, like that does like you put it that way, it sounds yeah, like really interesting. I mean, well, your video is actually what brought me to your Discord group in the first place. And yeah, like I was really jazzed to hear like, someone wants to do something about like these shameful releases
Mm,
and trying to get a full picture of what this kind of rating system would be. Like it sounds it sounds challenging. So
mm.
um yeah, man, like I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Nothing worth doing is easy. So like
exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you're like this because it's good. It's always good to have people support you from the beginning, because then there's more voices, more opinions, and we can improve it. But I think if we need to distill it to its simplest form, which I think rating games, because everyone knows how to rate a game. Like, it's far simpler to rate a game versus a whole company. Because how do you rate a company? You've got a company making games, you've got their job posts, you've got how they treat their employees, their staff, and there's a lot of things to like take into consideration. But a game, you've got like you got the art programming. It's far easier to rate a game. And if we can grow our community to the point where we actually have a decent amount of people involved in this process, then I think from there we can start to expand into like, oh, you're rating companies, rating specific job posts, and kind of making our own glass door, as you like would say, but
yeah.
relevant to gamers. Because you talk to a gamer about Glassdoor, they're going to be like, huh? What's Glassdoor? I didn't even know what Glassdoor was until like someone brought it up in a comments section bloody like 5 videos back. So, you know, gamers just don't
It
know
would be
about it.
nice if game devs did have like a glass door that wasn't so well glass door.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have something better.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it'll be nice to like collaborate with people, like merge communities with other people. Like
Hmm.
that's like true on YouTube. Like there's a lot of game devs creators, especially those who are middle sized, like anywhere like 10K subs ish area. They like to like they're very closed off. They don't like to collaborate with other people and like spread out to other communities. They're very like, here's my game, support my game, love my game, buy my game type spiel.
Mm.
Occasionally, like once every 4 videos, you'll see something like, oh, how can we make more money from our games? That's more like based around other people, like helping other people out. But there needs to be more collaboration, I feel.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
I
lacking.
mean, like, I think it's the right time to do it because of the massive vacuum that AAA has left.
Mm.
Like, all the major publishers and studios, they're all focusing on those big ass AAA games, and all the AA games, like, they aren't making those anymore. And it's left a huge, huge vacuum for different kinds of experiences that indies are already tackling.
And the lack of advertising is bad too. Like when I join a lot of Discord servers, one rule is like never advertise your own stuff. Don't advertise. And I'm like,
Oh, I see that everywhere. It's
yeah,
so disappointing.
yeah. I don't think it's a good thing. That's why I don't care. Like I don't have that rule. I'm happy for people to advertise whatever they want as long as it's not porn or something stupid. But
Yeah,
like,
like even on like subreddits, it's like,
yeah,
like it could be like 3D talk, but don't advertise. I'm like, well, I'm advertising myself. Like I can't decide what you're going to consider as an advertisement, but like but that's what we need. All of us need that. We need
yeah,
we need a place where there's many eyeballs and we can advertise. I
yeah,
mean, even if it's in a small way. I mean, just showing off our work in progress or just saying like, hey, I've been working on something for a few years. Some of you guys have followed, but like, like just reminding you, it's almost done.
yeah. Like advertisements. Like I really. I know I'm probably still a little too small now, but what I really want is a sponsor. Like I don't care. Like it'll be nice if the sponsor, if like the thing that I'm advertising in my video in exchange for money is something that I actually use and care about. But what I really want is to give that money away. Like I want to start, I think I explained this in my last video at the end, I think, but I want to start my own game jam and actually have some decent cash prizes. Like, because
Oh, that would be cool.
I'm not seeing that like in other, like even the big game jams, I'm seeing prizes of like, oh, first place $200, second place $100, third place $50, and then like they might have more. But I would love to give away a couple $1,000, like for each prize. I think like that would be awesome, and that would make it viable for people to actually put in a lot more effort. Because I'm just not seeing that. That's something that I want to start. But yeah, I need obviously the sponsor money to kick that off.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sounds awesome though. Like I like it.
Yeah, because you can imagine, like, it would just sell itself because you won't even have to advertise it yourself. You can be like, all right, first place, 3 grand. And then, like, friends are going to share that and be like, wow, we can win 3 grand off this, you know? Like, that's
Yeah,
actually
heck yeah.
exciting. But yeah, I'll still have to, there's still going to be a lot of planning and, like, how I do that. Like, do I decide the winner or does the community decide the winner or is it like a mix of both? There's still a lot of, um, thought that has to go behind it because I don't want people to feel like I'm rigging it. That would be the worst
Well, yeah,
thing.
absolutely. Yeah, take your time, put your thought into it because yeah, I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, let's see if we can make that happen. And that's another big reason why I haven't. You'll notice that like I'm on 1,000 subs, but I don't have any channel memberships going right now. It's because like I don't feel comfortable taking people's money without giving back. If that makes sense. Like I haven't got the plan done for that yet.
You just gotta take your shirt off.
Yeah, that's what a lot. Actually, yeah, that's what a lot of streamers do, and not just the girls, the guys too. It's so weird, man. Like, like here, sub to me for a month, and I'll dance for like 5 seconds. I'm like, what the fuck? Seriously?
Yeah, yeah, like a monkey making you dance.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like it would be nice to make money, but at the same time, um, yeah, I would love to, see if I can invest in the community and give back. Like that's something that I really want to do. But we'll see. Time will tell, Like I'm at the
Well, like, well, see that was something I was thinking about was like I was making this tool for artists, that others can use. It's something I've been using, but like I've been like thinking like, well, like it does have some cost overhead, so like I'll need a charge for it. Like, yeah, I might make a little bit off of it though, but like at the same time, I kind of want to like give something to the community, but I can't have like the best of both worlds where I'm making money, but also like no, I gave it like no.
Yeah, no, exactly.
um, but it's a tool for like okay, so when I apply for a job,
Hmm.
I send in my portfolio and I generate a specific piece in the URL that's specific for that employer. So when that link is used, I know exactly which employer has visited my portfolio
Oh,
and how many times, and it's really insightful. Like I get an idea of like which companies are actually serious about hiring. Like, do they actually not only open the resume, but then they actually get to the portfolio and look at it? And there's definitely some that just don't even bother to open it.
oh yeah.
Because I remember you've talked several times about like those fake job postings, the ones that they have no intention of filling, and then they'll close it and then they'll just reopen it like the next day.
Yeah, it's like a form of advertisement. It's like you
Well,
get them to
it's
check
not
out the
even just
company.
advertisement. Like they use it like to signal to their investors, like, "Oh, look, yeah, we're growing," or they'll use it to like scare their employees, saying like, "Yeah, we're looking for more people," and or no, well, actually, sometimes it's like, we'll replace you, or it's like, "Oh, don't worry, help is on the way." It could be one or the other. I mean, however they want to use that. Um, but I think it's really helpful to know, which employers are actually responsive to your applications, and that's what that has done for me. Also, it had like a little secondary kind of a thing. Like I was able to tailor my portfolios to specific employers, so that was something that always seemed lacking Like especially like with ArtStation, like you can make albums, but I don't think you can link specific albums to someone. And if you, no, I think you can. It's just like you make a project, you put it in an album, but you can't have that same project in multiple albums. So it's like difficult to manage it where you curate content for your, for someone to view, at least in an easy way.
That's sick.
So
Yeah, there's so much
y-
personal use. The personal use alone is worth it, but I can even think about ways how that's so useful for like educating people in the community about like what to look out for and who's worth going for. That's sick.
well, see, I think it'd be useful as like a data collection tool to, tell the community like, oh, these are the employers who are putting out, jobs that no one looks at. Like, don't apply to them because they won't even open your portfolio. Like that would be great data to share.
Yeah, especially when they ask at the bottom of the job post, please include a cover letter and write a little paragraph about why you'd be so excited to work for us and why we're the best. They just, oh man, it's that. And like, if we can avoid more of that, that would be epic. And that's what it sounds like your thing could
Yeah.
do.
So yeah, like so like to contribute to like maybe your cause, like this portfolio manager thingy that I'm making could be something that artists, use to manage their portfolios, and it can like easily integrate onto their website if they have one, or maybe like I host it, and I want to try making it cheap as possible so I don't go bankrupt trying to host everyone's artwork. Um, I'll find a way. But yeah, use it to empower all those people who are looking for jobs. Like let our applicants collect data rather than the other way around, because you know that a lot of those job posts are open, so they can collect data on the pool of talent out there.
Hmm.
So we need to collect data on the pool of real employers.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I feel like that's what. Oh man, let me explain this to you, right? So I had a video planned, and I wanted to apply to volunteer positions and just see like how they take advantage of you and stuff. And you know what's fucking hilarious? I've applied to like 10 and I've been rejected by them. Volunteer positions I've been rejected at.
Yeah, I did like one, and I didn't. They did not even open my portfolio.
Oh my god, it's just so crazy.
Yeah,
It's
it's wild, and they're like, and the whole thing was like, we're trying to give those developers who haven't got a game under their belt, give them a start. So that's what this is about, and like, I guess I was just too late to the party, or like
it's honestly
they just
probably for the
haven't got
best.
around to it,
Probably for the
huh?
best. It's probably for the best because you don't really want to be working for a company that's a no. Like imagine being a volunteer at a
Well, it was
no-name
actually a
company.
YouTuber.
They wanted. Wait, why did they want
Well, it
you?
was a YouTuber. Like they were trying to do like a revenue share, but like the purpose was to help, get some like starting artists like their beginning, and so they can like like you don't have anyone to network with, like that happens a lot, and you don't have any titles under your belt, that happens a lot, so you can't get in. But I mean, if you've created a game like that's a boon to have your application taken more seriously. So like that was like the pitch for him like scouting for people to help make his game.
Oh, you know what? And he probably found people. That's the sad thing. And
Yeah.
he probably got what he wanted. Man, if I had to do that, people would eviscerate me, which I'm glad.
See, I was suspicious, but I'm like, well, let me just see what this is about. So I just went ahead and applied, and I'm like, I need to ask some questions.
Yeah, of course. Like, of course, because it's like, especially if you're going to be unpaid, like you'd at least want to know full transparency about what you're going to be doing. You know, like that's when it's even
Right.
more
I mean, it
important.
seemed like it was very workshoppy kind of thing, because I don't even know if it was gonna be like like a full like just working every day making a game. It might be just like a workshop on making a game. But I just like there were so few details. That's why I wanted to ask him questions.
And they replied,
No, I mean, well, I mean, I just applied, like to the quote unquote job post.
They don't like people that ask questions, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I just did a standard application. Like, they were looking for people. I applied, and didn't even get that far. Like, didn't get a response.
Yikes. That's just so messed up, man. Who knows what the heck I'm missing? Because I'm on LinkedIn. That's all I look for on jobs. But you said you found a job on Indeed. You said was it
Oh
Indeed?
yeah, that's where I got the AR job.
Who knows what the heck I'm missing? Like, as in, some the crazy shit that might be getting said there.
Well, honestly, it's pretty much the same. I check both, and yeah, you're gonna find. Honestly, it's kind of shocking how many people want to do like unpaid jobs on there. I think it's actually okay. If anything, maybe it's just like 5% more on Indeed that you see those,
Okay,
but it's pretty darn close, like the ratio.
okay. So 5% more content. Yeah, I have a future video that comes out. I'm starting a new series where instead of looking at a bunch of jobs, like the my game dev LinkedIn videos, the one with the Jerry Seinfeld
Yeah.
thumbnails. I'm starting another series where it's like instead of going through multiple jobs, I just like go into one job and I really deep dive into all the details. And yeah, I've got a video coming out soon where we go into this one job and oh my god, it's just
You should go as far as like, okay, so you apply to the job and then you get the interview and then you record the interview and then the next interview it's in person. You bring like a camera crew and everything,
see. I
and they're
want
like,
to do that. I want to do that, but I live in Australia, and the Australian laws are different to US laws. See, if I was in the US, I could do exactly that. I could join the interview and I could like say whatever I want and record it and post it. But in Australia, the laws are so
uh,
dumb. It's like you have to have two-party consent, and I'm like,
maybe you ask, and then if they give you
yeah. Well,
permission, awesome.
so I'm in the interview. I shit all over him, and I'm like, hey, can I upload this to YouTube?
No, you get permission beforehand.
No, see, that doesn't work. That's not how, like, Australia's
Oh,
consent laws are so dumb. It's like you can revoke consent at any time when it comes to that type of stuff, if that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense when it comes to, like, human relations, but when it comes to jobs, it's like the same rules apply, which I think it should be different. Because
yeah.
it's just talking and it's just a, like, when you join a Zoom call, like, there's this, I don't know why Australia has this expectation of privacy. You're literally broadcasting yourself on the internet. How is it private? Anyway,
Yeah, that's so true.
but for in US, it's completely different. The laws you have there, like if you can imagine, you guys have like I would say the best laws or the most freedoms, and then Australia's next, and then UK, and then after that, it's like any third world country. UK
I
is
was
like
thinking
even worse.
Like UK. Well, I don't know if I want to get political right now, but like I was getting kind of like scared with like like the arrest for social media posts. Like that
Yeah,
that sounds kind of scary.
yeah. You don't even have to be political to think that's like a problem. Like you can say anything. It doesn't have to be political on either side. It can be just anything, and they have the right to arrest you
Right? If you like
if
hurt,
you
like
say
you made
something.
a post that made someone uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. And Australia is becoming slowly becoming like that. We keep seeing on the news, it's like, oh, there's a bullying epidemic. But, you go back in like my parents' time and they would just like shrug that off and be like, that's just normal shit that people have to deal with, you know?
Right? Like we got bigger problems, like 8-foot spiders and like killer kangaroos.
Everyone, see, it is true that we do have some effed up spiders that are like really deadly, but like it's a very like the kangaroo is true. Like it was only recently that I went into my car and then a kangaroo fucking just went right in front of me. And we usually don't see kangaroos because we live in like suburbs, but it does happen. But the spiders, it's not as bad as what people think. Like a lot of British people assume like Australia has like spiders everywhere. You're gonna open a door and there's a spider, and it isn't as bad as what.
Well, see, the thing is, the spiders are there. You just don't know it.
Oh
And
yeah,
same over here. We have spiders everywhere. They just hide really well.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, Australia has some weird shit. Like we got some like deadly snakes, like that ones that can like kill you as soon as like instantly, and yeah, spiders, and we got like crocodiles and shit. I think is it you guys have like alligators? We have crocodiles. I think we have alligators too.
I literally had an alligator dream last night, trying to run from them. It's funny you bring that up.
Yeah, but Australia is not that like honestly like if you remove the shit we just talked about, Australia is beautiful. Like in terms of the country. I will say that I'm from Victoria and we are broke here. Like the Victorian state is like they have no money. They go
Oh,
down like I went to the zoo recently, down near towards Melbourne, and it was the worst experience I've ever had. It was
oh
so
man.
trash. It was like they have pictures of like elephants, but you never see a single elephant. We went to the lion enclosure,
Oh,
didn't see a single lion. Like
oh,
they're not even
they
resting.
got out.
Yeah, they go down like this route of like saving money. Like the lions aren't even resting because you can see the shelters where they rest, but they're not there. So they obviously can't be bothered looking after them. There was no tigers, no lions. There was this like gorilla enclosure. It was a massive like 30 by 30 simulated rainforest area. One gorilla in the middle. Dude, that guy's all by himself. Isn't he fucking bored?
An allegory for the game industry.
Yeah, exactly. That like going to the zoo felt like the games industry, and that's why it was disappointing. Like, the zoo closes at 5 p.m., which is so stupid. Like during a weekday, it should be closing at 7. But anyway, it was like 4:15, and we went to there's like a reptile section, and we're entering, and then one of there's a couple of those guys that they wear that safari uniform. They're the workers there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're closing it." I'm like, "But it's 4:15. You guys can close till 5." And they're like, "Yeah, we need to close this early." I'm like, "I paid $55 to get in here.
Oh, ouch.
Fucking yeah, what the fuck is this shit? Yeah." And that's not even the worst part. There's far like again the worst part is like the lack of animals.
Well, do you think? Well, when was that trip? When did that
Oh,
happen?
this just happened like 2 weeks ago. I just went.
Oh, okay, I was gonna ask. Do you think it has anything to do with like COVID and like how COVID has affected so much? Like, over here in the States, like we used to have so many places that were open like 24-hour, and now like almost nothing is 24-hour ever since COVID.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's specifically COVID because I asked my mum and dad about because they went to the zoo back years ago, probably 10 years ago, ages ago, and they said it was a far better. Like it was amazing. They got to see like all the animals and like there is a lot of things that are still there, like that still exist. But yeah, they remember seeing lions. They remember seeing elephants. Um, like and plus it's not only that there's a lack of animals, it's like they don't interact with each other, like if I go to a lion enclosure, I expect to see fucking two alpha male lions fucking fighting each other, not to the death, but like play fighting. Like that shit's fun to watch, but
Yeah,
it's they don't even interact with each other. It's like everyone just like all the animals like are just like what's the word,
depressed,
depressed, but like socially
lethargic.
awkward. Like they
Oh, okay,
what's the word?
yeah,
There's it starts with I think. It's like their internal fuck whatever it is. But you get what I mean. It's like they don't care
yeah,
about
yeah,
each other. They're not. There was one part that was okay. It was the I think it was the baboons. You know those things with like the really red asses. They have like huge red asses,
yeah.
man. They come to the window and like you can do magic with them, and they like freaking they're amazing.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, dude, like you can like put your hand on the glass and they put their hand on the glass and you can like interact with them and they're so happy to see you. Like that shit, that was honestly the best part of the zoo, but it was such a tiny fraction that I almost missed. And I'm like,
Man,
yeah,
like my last, I went to like the zoo maybe like a few months ago, and it wasn't like when I was a kid. But it could have just been one of those days, like the weather, like it was like a cloudy day,
mm,
and like it was probably gonna, I think it was gonna rain that night, but like all the animals were just like lethargic and tired. They were all laying down and sleeping essentially, and it was like in the middle of the day.
yeah, yeah, they do that. I'm not sure if it's the weather because they did that. It was a sunny day when I went and they do that anyway. I think they just sleep during the day, a lot of them. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I remember being a kid, like they were
Yeah,
far
you
more
want to
active.
see. Yeah, you want to see that interaction. That's what makes going to a safari so appealing. It's like you actually do get to see how nature behaves properly, not this fucking trashy crap that these zoos are doing, you know?
Yeah, like maybe if EA was a zoo, this would be it.
Yeah, well, like I did speak to someone who did the internship program, and they did say it did feel like a zoo because it's like
Really?
they get yeah because they get like they go to the they have these internship programs, the summer internship programs, and they get like at least over 100 people per thing, and they just sit there and they just like they they like either they do nothing or they do everything. They like they'd be the main people behind some of the games, like doing all the grunt work, or they just literally go there just to do some bullshit thing that's not even about games. Like if you watch my EA interview, um, there was one part where this girl that was doing the internship, she says on the video, "I'm not a gamer, but I'm so glad EA accepted me and they care about my opinion." I'm like, why the fuck are you at a games fucking company if you're not a gamer?
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't make any
I remember that
sense.
now.
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's like the people either do everything or nothing.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Um, I have a buddy who made it into Activision,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was actually like just right out of college. Like lucky sob, man. But and he says so himself that he was really lucky. He was like essentially in the right place at the right time and talked to the right person, and things just worked out for him. He hasn't like told me a lot about like the work culture there. I mean, he doesn't seem to have any real complaints. So Activision Blizzard, like it seems to be, well, I guess things are going pretty good over there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Activision, is it Activision who made Black Ops 6, or is that another Treyarch or something? Like probably Treyarch. But
I want to say Treyarch.
yeah, because the old ones were, so it's probably more likely. But I hate Black Ops 6. I was playing it like the other day. Well, it was a while ago actually, but I was playing split screen, which was dude. It was such a pain in the ass to set that up. It took us like 20 minutes just to play it. Fucking, you have to, in order to play split screen, you have to like sign in to each individual account. Like you have to have your own separate. I think you have to have an Activision account to play it. Um, but like it's not like the old days where you just like press A to join, and it's like you can just be a clone of your initial user and like play together. So once we finally set that up, I was playing the game with a mate, and I'm like, we're playing snipers, and we're playing on Nuketown, and I love in Call of Duty games where you can like screen cheat, but like then you can pre-aim corners. Like that shit's the fun. That shit's the most fun when it comes to split screen. I love the looking at what they're doing and then like predicting where they're going to go and executing.
Yeah,
But
there's a game that's specifically all about that, looking at screen cheating.
oh yeah, that's when your player model's invisible though. Yeah, I've seen that. I think Markiplier played.
Yeah,
That's an
yeah,
indie game actually.
yeah. Like, it was fun. I played with my brother. We it was like we grew up playing FPS games all the time, and screen cheating did happen. Although we try not to, like it's just kind of hard not to, you know.
Yeah, it's fun like in some ways. But anyways, in this Black Ops experience, I was holding this angle and I just see this fucking dude fucking dolphin dive fucking across the fucking like 20 meters sliding dolphin dive, and I'm like, I can't preempt corners anymore. It's not fun because it's like you can't hit someone that fucking turns themselves into a fucking piece of spaghetti and fucking cross maps. Like the sliding itself, like I'm aiming for I want to aim for a headshot, but if everyone's just fucking sliding like as if they've got wheels on their boots and they're sliding on ice, what the fuck, man? Like I felt that so
Yeah.
jarring. I felt it was so jarring, and I just hated it. I'm like, I'm never fucking buying this game because I was considering getting it just for fun, but I'm not fucking getting it with that shit. It just pisses me off. Like,
Yeah, I haven't played it myself. But I had seen some clips. Like I saw that meme, like a guy diving through a window and like got in the way of someone else being killed, and someone edited over it like, "Look out, Mr. President!" Took a bullet for someone.
I don't mind the diving, but punish the player when they land. Like in the Black Ops 1 and 2, if you dived, you would zoom, but you'd be stuck on the floor for like a couple of seconds and you'd be absolutely screwed. You know, you wouldn't be able
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
anything. You wouldn't even be able to shoot while you were diving, I think. So it was really punishing. So it was like a high risk, low reward thing that had some use here and there. But And this new one is just so trash. And yeah, if you're listening now, freaking, and you play it, tell me what you think as well, because um, it's weird. I don't hear people talking about this, which is strange.
About Black Ops specifically?
Like about how that everyone's freaking just zooming around the map, and it's like not fun to like
Oh,
play like
okay,
that anymore.
gotcha.
Like,
Just like this, like I guess that's a lot like a Doom gameplay where it's like a what do they call it, like a boom shooter, like what is that genre called?
oh, is this when you
Um,
shoot behind you, rocket launching
no, it's just like where
or
you're
rocket
just
jumping?
like you don't stop and your momentum basically doesn't stop and
Ah,
you're
bunny
just
hop,
shooting away.
bunny hop,
It's bunny hole. I haven't heard that one.
bunny hop. It's when you
Bunny
like,
hop.
yeah, is that? It's like when you like specific games, if you move your mouse at the same time as strafing, it like gives you like a slight speed boost, and you can like keep that momentum up. Is that what you mean?
Um, maybe. No. Yeah. It just like really all I'm saying is that it's just anything that's kind of like Doom.
Yeah, Doom has very fast movement. Like it's very slippery, fast movement.
Yeah, like I played like the modern Dooms, and it's like the whole like thing I felt about it is just like you don't stop moving, and it sounds like what you were describing with Black Ops, like is it just like the momentum doesn't stop.
Oh yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Like it's hard to explain. It sort of does, but it doesn't do it enough. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you slide and you do slow down the longer you slide, but it's like you're still initially too fast. But anyway, but yeah, I see what you mean. Um, but yeah, is there anything else you would like to talk about?
well, well, as for like I was thinking what kind of got me excited about like your cause about like trying to rate these games. I
Mm.
guess like I was kind of swirling in my head like, oh, what does that all mean? Because you're still trying to figure it out. Like, does that mean like also rating publishers
Yeah,
and like rating publishers and helping give the gamers and the developers a little bit of an insight before they make a decision about like, oh yeah, I'll buy this game, or like, oh, I'll work for them.
yeah. I think I was saying this before that we probably have to start off with rating games exclusively because it's just something that has such a wider appeal compared to publishers. Like whenever people think of a publisher, they more think about the games that those publishers push, not the actual publisher themselves. So like if you think of Treyarch, you're not going to think about whether or not they treat their employees good or bad. You're going to think about Call of Duty. So yeah, I would love to start with by rating games, and then once people understand how it's going to work and that people have confidence in the system, that's when we can start, you know, um, widening the net onto publishers and companies. Um, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. I guess I'm wondering like a little bit of like what's the big picture, but I guess it's just going to be an evolving kind of thing, and it has to start somewhere.
Yeah, we have to like baby steps. We have to start small and like we basically like I said, I think I mentioned IGN before. Like IGN might say some stupid shit, but everyone knows who they are. So if they were
Yeah.
able to pull it off, then, surely we can do that too. So it's kind of going to function a little like that, where each game gets a score rating, and I guess I'll be developing like I'll be helping developing some resources like maybe a rubric people can follow. They can like read the rubric and go, oh, so we're going to be judging 1 point based on audio, point based on you know what I mean. So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll be doing that. And it would kind of work with it'll be a community score. So IGN is basically just whatever the folks at IGN think. But our community score, we'll be hosting polls every week, and each week we'll have like, what's your score rating for this game? And then people will have a whole week to do their research and like look into the game, perhaps get a demo, play it, or buy it if they really want to.
Is it just like a regular like review of a game, or it's like not just like the game itself, but like a little bit more about like how it was like produced, or or like well, like what is the criteria? I guess
I
is
think
what I'm
it,
after.
yeah, I think it's going to start with just the game purely, but you'd be totally okay to influence your score based on other factors, like as in the way they treat, the industry and stuff. Like,
And like
so
monetization
exactly, and
schemes.
gamers care a lot about monetization, so I'm sure that's going to
I
be
see.
thought
So
about.
it
Yeah,
sounds like a broader criteria than just like, oh, like rate the game based on its fun and whatever.
yeah,
It's more than that.
yeah, it'll be more than that. The fun of the game, I guess, will have probably the majority of the because if a game's fun and they do everything else bad, it's still going to get a decent score. So most of the time. So
Yeah.
people are going to rate it on that. And then once the week finishes, we take the average score and we then document that in at the moment I have a spreadsheet. And then that spreadsheet can be shared between on a website or somehow through a database. And then,
Yeah.
I can make a video on it, or we can publish it in the chat and gamers can share it with each other and be like, this is the Spolato Bros score. It might not even be called the Spolato Bros score. We'll see. But people can share that and be like, it's like when you watch a movie and you Google it, you see Rotten Tomatoes. Like, imagine if we can have like our own score and be as like
Yeah.
pronounced as them. That'll be sick.
Yeah, I would actually really love to like to contribute to like, like the hosting for like, where like this web app or website or whatever it may be. And I actually already started looking into like the type of infrastructure you would need. I
Yeah,
already started homework on it.
yeah, that'll be sick because that's super important. It needs to be super manageable. It needs to be scalable, and it also needs to be easy for people who have never seen the website before to navigate it.
Right. Yeah. So I was looking at like what kind of tech stack like this kind of thing would need. Like what kind of things would demand as it grew.
Yeah,
So yeah,
no, that's
I'm like
awesome. I'm
I'm
so
really
glad.
yeah, I'm really fired up about your project, and if I could help, yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad. Like again, this is something that is probably going to take some time. This is my long term goal. We're definitely not in a position yet where we can roll this out and it can be effective immediately. Like it's only going to be as effective as how big the community is. Like
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
you can have the perfect website, the perfect system, everything perfect, but if you're just releasing it to 10, 20 people who would actually use it, it's not going to do crap. Let's be real. It needs to be, it needs to, that's the biggest hurdle. Like I did say it in that video, that we need to have a bigger following to be able to pull that off, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's possible. That's what I
I,
love about it. It's possible.
well, I keep watching your channel, all your videos, so I hope more people get on board and get some pull here. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that'll be sick. I'm curious and to know how many views this will get because one of them got like my most recent interview got like nearly 3,500 views. That's awesome. That's so
Nice.
sick. And then the other one I did I think is on like 700 to 800. So I guess it depends on like how dramatized it is because if you compare the first interview to the first interview I talked to that really good 3D character artist guy, and there is drama in the video, but I didn't necessarily make the thumbnail and topic around that.
Yeah.
But the second video, I had it like ex EA employee exposes the truth, and yeah, he exposed the truth, all right. But you can tell like just people love drama. Drama sells. So
It does. Honestly, like I'm scared to find out like how this like video performs like or like I haven't been in the public eye before. So I'm just like no, I'm like oh no, what's it gonna be?
yeah, well, it's same for me, man. Like I've only been doing this for almost 4 months now. Like it's so weird being in the public eye because you get criticism all the time. Like sometimes most of the time it's pretty good. Sometimes you just get that pure, you know, dog shit criticism. But sometimes like you can make the best video, but someone will disagree with your points, and in their eyes they'll think the video is bad, even though the video
Yeah.
might be good. They will think that the video is bad, which is interesting. Like either way, it helps the algorithm because they write a comment, you know, they see it's got interaction, and YouTube goes, "Oh yes, beautiful." But yeah, it can swing either way, man. It could go. This video could get 200 views, like some of mine other videos had, or it can get 20,000 or even more. Who knows? Like that's the interesting thing about YouTube. Like I'm still at that size where I still feel like I need to beg people to comment on my posts to help the YouTube algorithm
Oh yeah,
out.
yeah.
But it'll be nice to get to the point where I just push a video and then it just gets to the point where it doesn't matter if I beg for it or not. People just, it just, the algorithm just pushes it out.
Yeah, when I came across your channel, I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like the job roasting stuff, and and then when I reached out to you, I didn't realize how small your channel was. I'm like, oh, well, dang, I thought he'd been around a lot longer, or it's just like I don't know. I really his videos are really good. Like I thought he'd just been doing this for a while, just well practiced or something.
Yeah, that's the beauty of YouTube. It's like you can have the best content, but it still might not matter. Like it's important, but it still might not matter. It's a lot of it's luck and like just how people feel on the day. Like who knows? Like what if the majority of my fan base just goes on a holiday next week and they can't don't have internet access and they can't view my video? It might be the best fucking video that I've ever released, but if no one watches it, then I can't really do nothing. Yeah, it's like it's really interesting how it works. But yeah, I like I got so many ideas I want to do, and like there's so many things that I want to do with the community and like people like you. Like I'm so man, I'm so honored that you joined and we had this chat. Like you're absolutely amazing, Striker.
Well, thank you. I'm really honored to have been like a part of this as well. Like I was really happy to be able to reach out and talk to you and discuss this stuff. Like this has been awesome.
Yeah, well, pleasure goes both ways. Like I'm looking like, and if you're listening now and you're someone that you can sort of do what Striker did, then please hit me up because I would like to have more of these. These types of videos, I think people like these a lot. Like they love the interviews. First, they probably the most popular is probably the LinkedIn stuff, and then this is next. So I want to do more of these. And yeah, Striker, you're amazing, man. Like hats
Thank
off.
you.
Hats off.
Well, I'll be looking forward to more of your videos and interviews. Like, yeah, it's awesome stuff.
Thank you very much. All right, I guess we'll cut it here. But yeah, thank you very much, and goodbye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Got something to expose? Call the Spillato Bros.